I can push this button and show you guys. I'm going to just switch it over. You should be able to see it, and everybody should be able to see it now. I want guesses in the comments as to what this game might be, because I don't think you can tell from just looking at this.
I think you probably could. Also, there's an extra asset that you haven't seen yet.
Nice. Do you like the toucan, by the way? Jan was very proud of his toucan earlier, and so was I. What was the program you were using? I thought...
I used LibreSprite to make the toucan, the bubble, and the cannon. The cannon that you've not seen yet. Scorched Earth, nailed it. Melican for the win, yep. It was going to be GTA 6, but Rockstar have that trademark, so...
I wonder if they got GTA 7. You know, when...
Angry Toucan, good guess, good guess.
Yeah.
I think if you use GTA, you get trademark violations.
Or imprisoned if you do it in real life. So yeah, the game sparked some real nostalgia as well. I ended up going back and watching some videos of old Amiga games. I absolutely loved
Getting Over It Expedited Edition. Yeah, it's a game that I played a lot in my teens and 20s, especially the multiplayer.
Shall I press play?
Yep.
Now, I'm not sure how loud the audio will be. Can I turn the audio down?
I've lowered the audio.
Awesome.
But feel free to turn
I'm going to go ahead and press play. You guys ready? Here we go. Hey. So, Jan put in some extra buttons just for me as well, because I was getting all stroppy.
Oh, they were actually in the original.
Oh, were they? There's a nudge button. So we've got A and D to go backwards and forwards here, and then Q and E for much more fine control.
Or shoulder buttons, I think, if you're using a controller, which I do recommend.
I would as well.
Turns out 8 colours, by the way, is quite a challenge. I have managed it, but only just.
I missed. You don't.
Yes, you did.
You wouldn't see my face.
Puzzle Bubble, top marks, Chris. Can they hear the music? I'm just going to turn the sound on.
I can't hear the music. It might be becoming...
Oh, I might have muted the music, and I can tell you how to turn the music on. Can you hear the sounds?
No.
Oh, you've muted all the sound. Okay, that's fine.
All the sounds have gone.
Yep, because I put in bubble pop sounds.
Hold on a minute. How's that? Other than quiet. So yeah, tell us about the journey then, Jan, when it came to creating this.
I'm just seeing if they can actually hear the sounds.
I can't hear the sounds. I'm still getting used to Windows 11. Some plonker
Up a
installed
bit,
it
down
on
a bit. Yeah, it should be fine.
I can hear it now.
Yeah.
I can
You
hear
can?
it now. It remembered the setting I had for my headphones.
Yep, there it goes.
That's kind of useful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've turned that right down.
Yep.
Probably up just a little bit more. Otherwise, I can't hear you with Discord audio and everything else.
Well, so there was a lot of very fiddly stuff going on. Most of which to do with the fact that we're using a hexagonal grid for these bubbles. The bubbles are actually represented with 3 different things. There's a rigid body when he fires, and then it gets removed and placed onto a tile map in a hexagonal grid. And then when you drop them, if you get one they can drop, they get turned into particles. Or if you pop them, they get turned into particles.
I thought that was really neat, being just swapping things out and making... Oh, just make a particle here and fake it being there, which is kind of what game design can be about sometimes. Making it look the part.
It was like, do I really want to, like... Oh...
I used to be brilliant at these type of games.
Yeah. Mikey was blaming the geometry being wrong for him not being able to aim earlier.
It's never.
Do you like my cannon, by the way?
I do. Another. So the program you were talking about earlier with the sprite, it reminded me so much of Asprite. Is that the name of the?
It is. It's the open source fork of Asprite.
Oh, so it is actually based on it. Okay, cool.
Or the other way around. I'm not sure. They share a heritage. I don't know the thing.
Oh, I'm brilliant. I'm brilliant at this game. We've got to show them a lose condition.
Well, it's just gonna... So I don't have the lose conditions or the wins conditions doing anything. They just quit. Which Mikey says is a crash. It's not a crash.
Oh, it is. When I lose, it managed to crash just before I lost. How unfortunate.
So yeah, I've been playing with a puzzle bubble clone. I was toying with the idea of local multiplayer because that was such a fun variant. For those of you who never played, when you drop the bubbles, they would appear in the other person's stack. But I think they might be out of scope. I think maybe just a really good single player
I think it might be
thing.
for a mini course. I mean, it's something that certainly we want to revisit. We do want to revisit multiplayer. We've done it with Godot Getaway. That was tremendous fun to play and still is.
I mean, online multiplayer is just a challenge anyway, but yeah.
I mean,
especially we'd probably have to do, I mean, unless we start doing some really fancy things with server setups, we'd probably have to do peer-to-peer, and that's not what I would call fashionable in game design these days. Like, it's a bit of a security
although
issue.
it's how GTA works, isn't it? GTA 5 uses a peer-to-peer network.
I don't have to type in your IP network.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, it's client-side authorization, but it's not like, I'll just type 192.168.
Oh wait, you're not on my local network. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to win this one, Jan.
I don't think you are, mate. I think you've messed up. But
earlier
we could
on,
show them something fun I've done.
What's that?
You could turn down the difficulty.
I can, so I can. Can I set it to 1? Oh,
no, you can set it to 2.
You can set it to 2. So yes, there is currently a difficulty in here, and the numbers don't refer to the rows; they refer to how many colours you have. And
I like how I'm nodding and shaking my head like they can see me.
Yeah, this was surprisingly easy earlier. Woohoo! And I got near the end, and I realised that actually it can get quite difficult because you don't always get the colour you want. But yes, so we've already integrated a difficulty in there as well, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, GTA Online's peer-to-peer stuff is hack central.
Well, that's the thing, though. If one of the computers is the host, so to speak, then there you go. That's the... And anything can happen on that machine.
Well, everybody's the host. So you just say, oh, yeah, I'm running this, and this is what I'm seeing, so now you can see it too.
Yeah.
So you get random things like everyone has a Russian flag on the server. I remember that happening once.
Oh,
but yeah, there's some fun things happening behind the scenes. I can show some stuff if you like.
That would be awesome. Take us through the code.
Let me share my screen. I mean, I should point out that the code is not optimized, and there's a few passes I need to do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, hot code. But one of the things I'm really happy with is the fact that the sprites, although I have various versions of them, but that's the right one. These are the bubbles, and they're just one single sprite. So I'm just using the frames for particles and for the various different sprites and thingamies. I just say, okay, go here. So I'm saving the resources there. I'm not doing that with the sound effects of the pops because I already had those. I was just using that, and I'm clearly not doing that in the music. But what we've got is we've got a level which has quite a big script. And we've got this line here, which is just a line 2D. What can I show? I can show the aim. The aim is fun. So the aimer was right here. It's got its own little sprite. It used to look like this.
Looks far better as a cannon.
It's got a raycast. And every frame, we're checking the collision point of the raycast, and we're moving the first line of a line 2D, which I've got here, with a texture on it, set to repeat, and we're just drawing to that point. So when I draw to that point, and this raycast is set to collide with the walls and with the bubbles, including the bubbles you shoot.
Yay.
So that's fun. What else do we have? Okay, so here's the fun bit. When you fire a bubble, the bubble exists as a rigid body, and here is our rigid body. And it's going to pick its sprite based on our lovely sprite texture right here. And when it gets spawned, it gets told what type it is. It's got a set get to change color, and it's just going to tell it to set the type to number 8. I can actually just... So I recently changed this, and this is dead code, so let's just... You know what? There we go. Just removed a whole line of code. So it's setting its own sprite. When it hits anything that isn't the wall. So the ceiling and the bubble. So bubble is collision layer 2, ceiling is collision layer 3. It's going to call lock bubble and check game over. Check game over is just, are you below the line? Which right now I have hard coded, but I'm going to change that. If you're locked in place, we're going to emit the signal with our position, local position, ourself as an object, and what type we are, what color we are. And then comes the fun bit, because we can go to bubble stopped. Here we go. First, we're going to get the position in the tile map, but the tile map can move. So first, I need to get that position as my local position.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go hex to local. So from the hex, which is what I'm calling the tile map, it's a hex map. I'm going to do to local using this position. Then I need to convert the world position to a tile map location. So I'm using world to map. And then I'm setting its X and its Y with the type. And the types are the same as they are on the frame. So if I go to my tile map, we can see right here, I can actually draw these in. Which means if we wanted to, we could pre-make levels.
Yes, I remember some of these. I think it was more Arkanoid clones, but they used to have certain levels with gaps in that would make things...
There's gaps in, or you get like a special star and you hit them, whatever color you hit it with, it would all vanish from the screen. Then we're going to remove the rigid body, because we can't have the rigid body just bouncing around, making a nuisance of itself. Then we're going to add to the now empty array, well, we're going to change the array matching bubbles to be just our bubble, just the one we've just landed. We're starting a timer. We're changing bubbles checked to be blank. And then we're going to check all of our neighbors. And checking all of our neighbors is, okay, ready? Append this cell to bubbles checked. So bubbles checked was empty. Now it's got the cell I'm on. Go get my neighbors. And here's where that bug was. You remember that bug where you would hit it from a certain angle and it wouldn't show?
Yes.
It's because we've got a hex, which means every other line is offset. So I need to check, are we on an even row or not?
That's why sometimes you'd hit it from the left and it would work. If you hit it from the right, it would go...
It wouldn't. And then you'd hit the next one on the left, it would be fine.
And then another
That
one
was
would
the
have
clue.
dropped over there.
That took 3 or 4 days to track down. That was a really irritating little bug. But anyway, so we'll check that.
It's part of the not problem, but it's part of the challenge that would exist whenever you work with a grid that isn't square. You're not just moving up and down, left and right. You're moving diagonally, essentially.
Yeah, but the diagonal changes.
Yeah.
For example, here, the vector 1, 1 is on the odd rows, but it's not on the even rows. That's not an adjacent square, because they're really squares, pretend to be hexes. Okay, so then we're going to check for n in neighbors. So for every entry in this array, if cell plus whatever this value is not already checked and is not blank, because I don't want to check all blank ones. I need both of these, otherwise you get a Stack Overflow error. Then we're going to check, is the neighbor cell got the same type, the same color as the one we've got right now? So get cell value. If it is, add it to matching bubbles, and then check from there. So basically, if you're next to me, and you're the same type, and I haven't checked you already, add you to the list, and then tell you to do the same thing. But I'm already on the list, so don't check me. We're not going to have an infinite recursion here. And so after half a second, which is easy enough to cover the whole map, the timer fires, and I'm going to check how many matching bubbles do we have. Check spawn counter. What does that do?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because this in itself is a little bit of a dive into a search algorithm.
Yep. Spawn counter is every 10 shots, the thing's going to come down. Originally they spawned, now they're moving. So I need to rename that function. So check, do we need to? Now tell the player you're allowed to fire again. Then, and here's the annoying thing, I've got an empty variable called bubbles. I want you to check all of them, every single one, get me the type. I actually don't know why I'm keeping the type. Oh, that's old code. Okay. If there's no bubbles left, you've won, which currently means quit.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we also have to check what remaining colors there are, because we only want to spawn colors that are still on the board.
Yes.
So we've got to do this again and use the information in a different way, which is why we're not just reusing it. Because, this has to happen before. This happens first, and then we check the win condition. They're out of sequence. And now what we're doing is, if this available bubbles array does not have the color that I've just found, add it. If it does, ignore it. When you've searched through every single bubble on the thing, then you can emit signal, prepare bubbles, available bubbles. And now the bubbles, the next bubble thing knows, oh, I've now got these next bubbles. Next bubble, here we go. These are your available colors.
And that's important, because you don't want to be playing a game where you've removed all the yellows and a yellow appears. Now, you will still get a yellow. If you fire off a yellow and the next one is a yellow, you'll still get a yellow. It's only when...
And that's why I had to get them out of sequence, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm coming out of shared screen now.
I shall make you bigger again. Ooh.
So there's no pedagogy in what I've just said. This is all very up and down and round and inside out. And
What it's part
boy, you
of
send me
the...
inside out.
Yeah, it's part
But
of the setup.
there was a lot of discovery in there. Why am I so high?
I don't know. Why are you so high? What?
That's a good question.
Is that a question we really... Is that better? That's better. Yeah.
Yep, that's better. So yeah, that's what I'm playing with this toucan bubble.
Toucan bubble? I mean,
I don't know what to call it.
yes, so the nostalgia trip, that was interesting. Watching some of the games that I used to absolutely love, and also listening to them back again, because they had some pretty repetitive music that I didn't seem to mind as a kid. But as an adult, I'm like, what?
It's like dentistry after a while, isn't it?
We've moved on so far when it comes to music in games. Really have. And I know, like, the early games were 90% technical limitation.